And as always, we're just bouncing along. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm Ken Somerville. And my co host is Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. And today we're talking about microbial tea and making your own. And are you trying to be an ape there, Andy? You're out in the jungle beating your chest, man. Talk to us.
Hey everybody, I'm still not here. I was okay. I'll tell you guys what happened. I got trapped in a big spaceship, and they just now beamed me back down. So it's like took me a little while, but I am back to be here. I don't know what happened, man. It was like boosh, boom, but everything's okay now, right?
Well, I hope so. You're here on a podcast. We're live.
Good,
So
good, good.
the aliens let you loose, Andy. That's all I can say, man.
No, they didn't let me loose. We fell in love, and she helped me escape, but she had to go back to her parents. So it's.
Oh, you were going after the young ones again, were you? Oh man, breaking young hearts, Andy. Come on.
So today we're talking about. I guess we're talking about compost tea, or are we talking about microbial tea? I forget now.
Microbial tea. We're talking.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to make the best microbial tea. I'll give you some of my secrets that I've learned throughout the year. You know, I've been in the business since. Well, I don't count the time when I was a teenager in school and I didn't have the name, even though I felt I was in business. You know, going around doing stuff for people. I don't count that time. Does that count?
Actually, it should. You know, when you think about it, that is time you were in the garden. So you're 50 plus years doing this, Andy. Let's just how about we say that?
Doing it a long time. When I gardened for my mom and dad, that's how I got started. Started gardening for myself and my mom and dad. I learned I didn't call them microbial teas then.
Yeah.
You know, because as I got older, it was only recently, right, that we started calling these things microbial teas, right?
Yeah.
And so one of my books was Natural Pest Control Alternatives to Chemicals for the Home and Garden.
Right.
And around that time, I have these videos, and maybe I'll look them up for you guys, of me strolling through the shopping center, a grocery store, buying things to make a spray from. And so I did some shows on how to control ants naturally. So I would walk around in the grocery store and pick up things that I would want to spray. And so a lot of these things, the microbials, believe it or not, I started early in the kitchen, of course, getting stuff. So I learned about milk. Okay.
Yeah.
Milk was the first and the easiest thing that I got. Or maybe it wasn't milk. Maybe it was beer. Is beer microbial? Right. It is, isn't it? Right.
It is broken by the microbes eating the yeast to make the beer, so it's got to be microbial.
It's a microbial tea, right? So when I first started, I dealt with what was available to me in the kitchen. When I would go out and do gardening stuff, I would say, okay, I would make a really cool. I don't know if it's a tea. It may be a tea. Does the tea have to be heated, or could it just be liquid? Cold.
It can just be liquid. It can be
right. So I would make a my favorite. I just can't say my favorite. It's one of my easiest. Is a cold brewed coffee. It's a wonderful microbial tea from the coffee, and especially if you're lucky enough to have the plant or any part of the coffee. So when I in Florida, in Miami, it's a big heavy. Latino community, and of course I like Cuban coffee, and it was really cool to be able to get coffee straight from Cuba inside the Cuba. The coffee. Hey, quit moving! Don't move, Ken. Stop it! And
my eyes.
I would get Cuban coffee in these really cool coffee bags.
Yep.
And they still do plants that they would take all the coffee beans and run through machines. And first of all, they had to take the hulls off of the hull, the skin. The coffee bean has this cool hull over it, right? That's the biology, right? Huh? Think about it.
Actually, a hull is the structure like a coke. You're talking like a coconut hull around the bean inside.
No, it's not. It's not a thick hull. It's just a like a paper. It's like a it's like a very thin covering, like a very
Okay.
thin shell, and it
So
actually looks more like when you get the hull, it's very fine. It looks like some kind of like a bean covering.
mhm.
It's coffee bean hull. The outside,
Okay.
it's the
Okay.
outside.
I've
Okay,
never
so
dealt with it, so I'm not sure if it's microbial or not.
that's definitely biology because I would take that. So they would throw
Mhm.
that away. So
Right.
I actually went to this place because I was even then we didn't get I didn't get enough coffee. So when I started treating my customers, I needed coffee, and so I
Right.
found out that they in downtown Miami they have all these places there. Everybody manufactures coffee like crazy, and then they throw it away. And
Right.
so the hardest part was finding organically grown coffee. But what and I think about it, I have to be honest with you, I wasn't really an organic freak then, and as a kid, right? Like Spanish, the skin of Spanish peanuts. There you go. Say, I knew she would come up with something, right? You know, it's just
Yep.
like on garlic, the skin on the garlic. It's very thin.
Yeah.
It's like you call it a skin,
Yeah.
but so I was just making a confession. Maybe I shouldn't do it, huh?
Okay.
Did you guys catch a confession? No, nobody caught it.
No,
Nobody's
nobody
listening
got
to
it.
me. So it was when I went out to hunt for coffee, I was not on the organic freak at that time as a kid in terms of buying things because my parents would bought the food for me, right? So I was like, I don't remember when I was telling my mom and dad, is that organic? I don't remember any of that. Okay, to be truthful, I don't remember at all. I think maybe I got into the organic. Even in the service, I didn't say, hey man, is that organic bread you got there, or you know.
Yeah.
So when I
Yeah.
got out of the service, that's when I got into organics.
Hmm.
And that was in 70, right? So when I got out, but so as a kid, but I still didn't use chemicals.
Yeah.
So I learned really really fast. I was really lucky because I got sent away to Puerto Rico and Cuba during the summertime. That's another
Mhm.
story there. I met Castro. Both on both sides of my family, there were farmers, and
Yeah.
they both made compost. That was introduction to compost. It was really cool. These people on both sides, in Cuba and Puerto Rico, that's what they did. Big giant piles. They cooked it. They steamed it up. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, right? That's a normal thing for them to do. So of course the soil is really really rich, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, but so anyway, so what I try to do is I say, okay, I want to use the things first of all that's in the kitchen that I can use for ant control and bug control and maybe figure out the thing about fertilizers, you know. And
Right.
so I found out some things are very, very potent. Even to this day, I still use them and highly recommend them, but they're not
Hmm.
exactly what you consider a microbial tea. When you think of microbial tea, you think, I'm going to brew these little guys together and spray them around to be on the plants, to be on the roots. But there are different kinds of microbial teas, like this coffee brew, cold brew coffee. If you make it with any part of the plant, especially so I would make it. I would literally brew. So I would say, can I have some unhulled, right? They're not. Those are the ones you want to make a coffee cold brew from. And so I found out that the hull is like 11% nitrogen.
Okay.
11% nitrogen that comes from the outside of the coffee bean. And I found that if you take the coffee bean that's raw without cooking, doing anything, and you can literally plant it on your vegetable, they go nuts because the biology in that little nut thing is really amazing what it does to that area. But as a tea, which it is a really microbial tea that you're spraying a microbial tea, so you have to understand why the different uses of microbial tea. Because me, for example, I use microbial tea in lots of different ways. My microbial tea now mixture is made from the worm juice, the worm farm.
Yeah.
But even to that, I add a variety of other microbials to it from other. On my quest for compost, you won't believe how many people make compost, and it's CRAP. Okay, it's not. It's like it looks good. It's black. May smell okay, but there's no microbe, no life in there at all. I mean, it would have to be very hard not to be no life, but not the kind of microbial life that you want if you were making compost correctly. That's one of the things. Are we going to be doing that? Are we talking about? Let's see.
We'll do compost next week, Andy.
No, I didn't mean compost tea. I really should talk about how to. I guess you don't need to have me hear me talk about making compost, right? Because I started early '70s making compost. On a journey there.
Compost tea next week.
Yeah. Okay, what you do compost tea along with compost?
Yeah.
yeah. You know who makes the best compost tea?
The person that actually makes it themselves.
The person who makes the best compost.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway. So on the microtree realm, you what I've learned from experiences is that that's what my super seaweed is all about. It's a microbiological activator. I just changed the name to a biology activator. Right? It's all about the biology. I should call it it's a biology activator because that's what it is. Only thing is that it's confusing if you do biology because you and I are biology, so it's not good for us. It's not going to activate us or animals or other creatures, So that's why I did microbial, very small, right? Small little biology. Maybe
soil
I should call
biology.
a soil biology activator, something like that. So when I started doing stuff, I basically started for my customers, but myself, I would use it in my gardens. So there are a variety of things you can go to the store, and then as I grow older, I still do. When I go shopping in my organic grocery store, I pick up a lot of things that I would take back to my kitchen and make my own microbial mixtures. Like I just finished making a whole bunch of really cool cold brewed coffee with some organic French coffee. It's French vanilla coffee, right? And I even take the beans and reuse the beans again because I basically don't grind it. I use it as the beans, let them soak, and then I find it's a lot of fun to add my worm juice to that mixture instead of just plain water. You'd be surprised at what happens there. And what we were talking about before was, thanks for any recipe my garden needs it, right? So
because you haven't actually given us a recipe. Now you talked about you're going to the grocery store using products. Right now we've got uncooked beans, unskinned beans in water. You're just letting them soak. Explain this to me, Andy.
That's called. I was trying to say that there are different kinds of microbial tea. So cold brew coffee is a microbial tea, but it's called cold brew coffee. You're basically brewing coffee without the heat, and you're letting it simmer there. It's just like you're going to do some kind of sauerkraut or something. You want the biology to work,
I've learned in water. You're just putting the beans in water.
Yeah. So you have you get one of these big sprout jugs, big giant things.
Yeah. Like Rory says, legume tea.
Right, legume tea is another kind of biology, right? It's the same thing. So you'll learn that not just coffee, because coffee is what I was talking about. But legumes, there's peanuts, there's almost any other nuts families you can make a tea from. You'll find that almonds, for example. What is one of the things in almond?
One of the things in almonds?
Yeah, what's arsenic?
Oh, okay, arsenics. Okay,
arsenic is very small amounts in almonds. So you can make a tea from that and use that against certain type of insects.
Cool.
So the idea is you have to have a reason why you're making the tea in the first place, because that will tell you what kind of tea you're going to be making. Use sprouting water. Of course, sprouting water is one of the best. I started in 1974. I met Victor Kovinsky. No, I met Ann Wigmore, the Hippocrates Health Institute lady. I think it was 74, maybe 71, 72. And that's one of the things that we were doing, is we were making sprouts. Yeah. And of course, we never threw the sprout liquid away. My friend Victor Kovinsky says it's I should know that by heart. Basically it's a really cool name that basically I almost had it. It just almost came up to my brain and it said boo boo boo. I'm not going to tell you, but basically it's the liquid you want to drink. You definitely want to drink the liquid. You want to ingest that into your body. But if you learn how to spray it and make more of it, yet it's very good for the plants because it has some type of enzymes and the microbes that helps them to absorb. These things are basically really iron rich and really minerally rich.
Well, and they're biologically rich. Andy, what most people don't understand is there's a huge amount of biology on both the inside and the outside of a normal seed. So when that seed's, I think it's called spermolates, when it cracks open, then it shoots biology into the soil structure. Now, if you don't have a soil structure, it's shooting that biology into the water column. You've got a mass of it if it's all the same seed of biology that's specific for that plant. You're spraying that, you're adding a whole bunch of biology. Perfect.
Exactly right. That's why it's called, that's why somehow sprouting all the different kinds of nuts and stuff activated that, because they sent all that stuff into the water. Yeah. And Victor Kovitzkis and anybody with any kind of brain cell will say, this is good stuff to drink, to intake into our body. If you wait too long, it's kind of stinky. It depends on how old the liquid is, right? But I would take lemon juice, squeeze the lemon into it. Sometimes a little bit of honey, stir it all up. You have this amazing drink you drink, and you definitely want to, So I would go through a lot of liquid and sprouting these seeds. So you can make, you definitely, you have to fill it up, shake it up, and then rinse it out, right? They sit a lot. Initially, the main batch sits in there, but after a while, you have to do the rinsing. So you're going to get lots of that. And so that's a very easy way to, and the thing is, not for yourself, but you get the liquid for the plants. And if you were to spray it, it's even better. And if you take it one more step further, and whenever you're making any microbial, you want to aerate it. You want it to go through a little bubbling process. So it's real easy. There are lots of companies on the market now that sell you tiny little compost tea kit, brewing kits, a little 5-gallon units with a little spray thing, and then you hook it up to it. Starts little motor pumps air through it. So and if you do that, then you might as well. So here's part of the secrets that I've learned. So a lot of people, they make their microbial from this liquid, and then they spray it, right? Yeah. Which is nice. But imagine if you take that liquid, you put it in a container, and in that container, you actually you make enough liquid. So what I do is you can add clean distilled water to that. In other words, double the amount of liquid, right? You don't put city water in there. You don't put any kind of junk in there. Just clean distilled water. And you have your little bubbler in there. Now, you're not going to just bubble it. What you're going to do is you're going to infuse it with trace minerals. Mm-hmm. One of the things I sent you about this lady in water, Doctor in Water, she talks about minerals. And what your body does is that she calls it the glue for you to keeps your body together, the minerals. Right? Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about minerals, how nature is very good at making a lot of things work together at one time. So minerals is what we always key into it in this show, because the biology is all about minerals. And so one of the things that you want to do is you want to infuse it with more minerals. You can't assume, because normally in nature you would have the biology in the soil, right? You would have the minerals in the soil waiting to be used.
We would hope it's supposed to be there. So are you adding like a rock dust for minerals, a salt for minerals? What do you?
I'm not going to tell you.
You're saying it's a recipe and you're not going to tell us? It's a secret recipe.
So what I learned from experience, in the past, I used to take rock dust and different kinds of rock dust and try to make the minerals from that. As I get older, I realize it's very, very dusty. It's hard to work with the dust. The minerals is good if you're going to be using it in your compost pile, that kind of stuff. Again, you have to be careful with dust. So as I get older, I gravitate to other people who make some really cool liquids or other ways that we can get the trace minerals. And I talk a lot about C90, SEA90.
Yeah.
C90, and C90 has 90 trace minerals in it. This lady I talked to you about, the doctor, she says sea salt has 92 trace minerals in it.
Yeah.
So it comes really close. And she even says she takes the sea salt, Celtic sea salt, you put in your tongue, you take your bite, it gives you iodine and a bunch of other things as well, which is also what happens when you give it to the microbes. But essentially you're feeding the microbes with this. When you're bubbling it, they're going to grab onto that nutrition that you put in from the salt, because you can overdo it, right? Too much salt will kill everybody, right? So you have to go very, very tiny, very, very tiny amount. So I myself take a little bit under my tongue, or when I have water, I drink about 3 quarts a day. A pinch of salt in that water will take care of my sodium needs and my iodine needs that I
Yeah.
need. But if you was to add it to your this microbial tea, you would have 90 trace minerals, and the more trace minerals, the better.
Well, the thing is, in Korean natural farming, they use a saltwater solution to
Yeah,
add in because it is those minerals. That's why when I drink RO water, so reverse osmosis, I add in
yeah,
pink Himalayan sea salt because it's got all those minerals. And like people complain about, RO water, it's got nothing in it, it strips your body. But you have to remember there's only so much sites in that water for the minerals to combine with. So I'm filling it with the minerals, so it's not pulling minerals from my body. And you need the salt for the water to get in, soak into your cells easier.
exactly right. So again, I referred to this lady, this doctor, who was basically saying that so many things needed for life, and the first thing she said was, of course, water. Right?
Yeah.
Oh no, she said oxygen, and then she said water.
Yeah.
So and then salt, then sodium.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sea salt is really really cool. Yeah, I use a cup. I use a C90 now because
Yeah.
I'm actually out of Celtic sea salt. As one of my the thing about Celtic sea salt is that it's really super high in magnesium.
Right. Yeah.
It's so, but I don't know for sure if the C90 if it has. I'm sure it has magnesium, but I just don't know the amount. I can tell you that Celtic sea salt has a lot more magnesium than anything on the market now. I'll tell you
And
that.
we need magnesium.
And magnesium is something we need. And so you want to get some easy water, highly soluble sources of trace minerals. There are a couple other sources you can get. It depends on how you for example, I go to my chiropractic office guy every once in a while, and he has a shelf of this little container of trace minerals for humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dog, trace minerals for humans. And so I've tried them out, and I like it. So I get that for me every once in a while. But actually, I go there and I take it to make my super seaweed. Says, I'm so happy you're using my liquid. I says, well, I have another source of liquids I like better, but I like my plants like your stuff better. So
Yeah.
because, you know why? Because it has a little bit of sugar in it, and plants like things in sugar. So okay. And then I ran into another, and I talked about this guy before, Dr. Willard,
Yeah.
W-A.
Willard water. Yeah.
Willard water, right? It has over 80, 89 or 90 trace minerals. And he made it in structured water. And because it's structured water, not only the plants absorb it, we absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you put that in. So you want to find one of these liquids. The other way is if you're into biodynamics, you'll find that there are lots of different formulations you can make from different herbs that you find around. You're looking around for different herbs that have different minerals. So basically, you take everything that's growing in your garden, because we talked about how, okay, here comes that word again, but I forgot, weeds.
Yeah, you mean it's medicinal plants for the soil equals weeds.
He knew I was going to say that. Did Silly put that up?
No, I put that up.
Oh, I was going to say, God, she's fat.
No. I knew exactly where you were going, so I started scrolling. As you started.
Right, but here's the thing: all plants pull up mineral. All of them, vegetables. That's why you want vegetables, because they pull up mineral.
Yeah.
See, all plants pull up mineral. So you have anything growing, you dry that, turn it into a powder, make a tea out of it. You're going to be getting mineral, and that's what you need to feed back to the microbial. See, when I do my worm juice, my worm farm, right? That worm farm has different types of soil in it, has compost in it. A couple of different companies of compost. These guys make wonderful compost. I'm gonna get him on the show to talk about indicator plants, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to be able to, and I put as much plant material into the worms. That's why I give them organic food, because they're also richer. I give them the lettuces, which are very rich in all kinds of trace minerals. And so I give them a lot of greens. and they eat up the minerals for me. And the liquid that comes out is even more amazing. I recently ran into a person that makes compost using cow manure. I go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so I'm using that, so that has the microbial in there. So you want to get as many different, and ideally you want to get as many different alternating sources as you can, rather than just one. People buy one bag of rock dust, and that's doesn't carry maybe 50 trace minerals in it. You look for maybe at 50. You're missing about almost half of them, right?
Yeah.
Hey, soil nerds. That's not some. What happened?
Hit that thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. Share it too, guys. Share it too.
So and then there are other ways that are really, really cool. So one of the things I ran into in '72 when I was giving a talk at the Arkansas, it was let's see, it was a organic growers conference in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Okay. And so when I went there, I ran into a guy who does effective microorganisms. That was really, really cool because he talked about that. And I also ran into the same guy that was really teaching Korean farming.
Okay.
And so, because I had talked about basically, like right here, for example, when I moved here, in the front yard, there's a little forest, and in that forest, there's tons of mycorrhizas, just tons of mycorrhizas.
Yeah.
So, but I looked at it, you see the layers of whoa, and behind me there's a little forest, the same thing, all very much alive. The backyard isn't, because it was used for the road, and it had a artificial lawn back there. But anywhere around it, it's very, very rich, because all these trees have been dumping stuff on the soils are totally alive. And so, so the Korean garden method is a very, very cool way. For example, milk, you can use the lactose bacteria, right?
Lactic acid bacteria, or lactobacillus. And Andy, maybe you want to this question first. Do you use a microscope to verify microbial life in your teas? And I don't think you're using one yet.
No, I often think about buying. I talked to a layman about it, and I talked to my friend over here, Rob, who has one. But it wouldn't do any good because I can't identify them. I won't be able to say, oh, look, there's a special oh, look, there's a tree, there's a triangle. I'm going, oh. So
is that a ciliate or a flagellate?
So I go by the old-fashioned way of knowing if something's alive or not. You leave it alone, it starts to stink on you, starts talking to you. You go, well, I think there's something going on in there.
If it reaches up and smacks you in the side of the head, it's
right,
alive.
right. So because I would make another microbial tea, for example. You don't hear about it too much, is animal manure tea, which is the reason why you do that. It's a highly microbial tea. So you can learn to use, so when I lived on a farm, I would literally go out there, in Florida, I would go to the farm and if I knew the customer had some fungus among us, that's what I would call it, fungus among us. Okay. Especially in what I learned how to cure the soil, to inoculate the soil, is you go get some really cool ripe manure. And the best one is the cattle. If you get cow manure, that's great, And so I would take that and turn it over into the soil.
Yeah.
Right, and then I would cover it either with other soil that I can get, or either try to make a little compost pile on top of it. So that making compost is a really good way to do that. Also, so in other words, I expanded, because I used to get manure buried in. How about if I should make a pile here, right? Make a compost pile right on your property, right there, and then when it's done, you just spread it out and inoculate that whole little area.
Yeah.
But the tea that you get from that is very, very different in different stages. Mm-hmm. The biology changes in different stages. You want it, so you want it at the highest stage doesn't make you dizzy when you smell it.
That's the ammonia coming off. Yeah, because it goes through a real bacterial, and then it slowly moves up into the fungal dominant. And that's where you want to be in a compost. But yeah, you can, if you have problems on the I guess the lower level of biology, if you don't have enough of that anaerobic biology, then you can use in early stages of a compost pile to get all that excess biology in the more bacterial range.
Could you put up a can of Flex 420.
This one here, I love my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
microscope and became very useful when I learned to identify microbes in my soil samples. Years it took to be able to identify them positively. Great investment.
Okay, here's the key words to that, Kana. Years. It took years. So
Uh,
I'm not gonna get into anything that
we're
takes
not getting
years.
any younger, Andy.
No, no,
You know.
I'm not getting into anything that takes years. So I'm saying, okay, yeah, you're really good at that. Great. I wish I had gotten into it when I was in the 70s, right? I thought
Yeah.
that would be cool to identify things. I did the old way. I would go by taste, by look, and by what it does, and what you can tell
And your
if something
nose. Don't forget using your
yeah, your
nose.
nose will tell you right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know what? Even to this day, I can let my compost seed sit in the truck for a few days and spray it, and to me it smells great. But people go, "What is that strange smell?" I said, "Well, that's biology fixing your roses, lady, or healing." But for example, right now there's a lady contacted me this morning. Actually, I ran into a guy, and I'm going to have him as a guest. His name is Tree Walker.
Cool. He's walking through the trees, bro.
No. You'll love this guy. But he referred me to a customer who says the lady says she has all these eucalyptus trees. The gardeners butchered them, and now there's some type of bug that's eating any type of has a little leaf. It eats them up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a combination of a disease and a bug. The disease inhibits a plant from absorbing more nutrition, right? But the real problem is that first of all, the guy butchered the plants to stressed out the trees. The trees want to grow, but they don't have the nutrition to make that happen. They don't have nothing's functioning for them, so they put out these little weak things that the brick level is like, eat me, and you have this bug going and wipe them out, and that's spreading around. More and more people are going to be calling me for this stuff because this is not your normal way of dealing with stuff. Because people have no idea. Oh, what she wants to know? What can you spray on the bugs?
Yeah,
right?
they're not thinking of looking for a root cause. It's like our flipping medical system. Oh,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
treat all the symptoms.
yeah.
Don't look for the cause.
No, because then you won't be
What?
back anymore. Why?
Well, yeah, they're not making any money anymore, right? Yeah.
No bueno. So and I told her I have to talk to you. I have to give you a talk. Basically, I'm going to tell her, look, you don't have any soil. You're not paying attention to what's going on in the ground, and that's going to take a while. The tree can come back because you have to feed it. No, you don't put junk on the root system. The root system is not working. Even if you took some good organic fertilizer and put it down there, it'll sit there forever and won't work. The only thing that'll work is something alive. That's the only thing that'll work. Something alive. And so I've learned from experience. Okay, I'll make you a deal. I'll provide the liquid and the inoculation. You provide the living life, which basically is compost. You get the best compost I tell you to get on the planet. Because
Organic
that's what we
material.
want.
You have to have organic material.
That's what we want. I found this guy makes a cosmic compost. Again, he's going to be on our show. He's a student of a friend of mine who did biodynamics. Really cool. He has a video. I think I may have sent it to you. Didn't I send you that video about this guy talking about this compost? No. Oh my God!
You did. I don't think you. I don't remember that one.
That was when you were on another planet.
Andy, I do want to point out, and
yeah.
I haven't read the whole comment. Matt Powers has a couple amazing books. Is doing amazing work. He is a genius, and I have to agree with that. And Matt Powers has a course on microscopy, and I don't think it's very long, but it's really very, very precise, and you get a lot of help. So anybody that does want to look into microscopy, I would suggest Matt Powers.
How about getting him out to guest?
I'll have to see what happens with that one.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. So anyway, there are tons of different formulations you can come up with. But the idea is you want to provide biology. So you'll find lots of things in the store you can buy, like the milk, anything that's basically alive at one time, you're going to get some biology out of it.
Well, Andy, how about going to a health food store and looking at all the different seeds that they're selling, whether it's pumpkin seed or any of these different seeds, taking them home and doing in the water, letting them sprout out and using that liquid. How many different varieties of biology can we get just by popping seeds and
Uh,
doing a foliar feeding
I
or a
have a
soil
box.
drench?
I have this box in the kitchen. In the kitchen,
Did
it
you
has
say
about.
vodka? You have vodka in the kitchen?
Actually, I do. I have a nice bottle of vodka in the freezer.
So,
I really do. I don't know, but I have this box in the kitchen. Inside that box, there must be 50 different kinds of seeds for sprouting.
yeah.
Okay,
And
so
if
when
you
I
50 different types of biological
right, so
inoculation in those seeds.
right, so a long time ago, and I'm still into sprouting. I do a little sprouting here. You go to the health food store, they sell you a couple of things. But because of the internet and Amazon and all these things, you can order like a kit of 100 different seeds you can sprout. I go, holy Casablanca, because ideally, I would drink all of them, but my plants really like it too. My
Of
my
course
garden
they
likes it.
do.
My
Because
garden,
you
my
have to
tomato.
consider, Andy, if the biology doesn't fit into the system, it's just turned into a food source for the biology that's there. But if that biology can fit in, it's like Tetris, getting everything linked together. The more biodiverse biology you have, the more cells can be built, the healthier cells can be built, the more can be mined out of the material in the soil because you have a greater workforce. It's beautiful.
So I go through different sprouting techniques because I like the liquid. I'm a little cruel because I drink all the liquid. It's not liquid. I don't give, you guys stay away. I'm not going to give my garden. I'm not going to give anything. It's mine. I'm going to drink this thing.
See, and Andy, my
Oh,
wife gives me a hard time because she feeds our dogs off her plate, and as a child, I was told never to do that, and I still don't to this day. And she gives me a hard time about it because I won't feed my dog off my own plate. That's my food.
listen, I just remember the name that Victor Cavensis calls this liquid. He calls it Rejuvelac.
Rejuvelite?
Rejuvelac.
Oh, like lactic. So
Yeah,
because it's lactic
Rejuvelac.
acid bacteria in it.
Rejuvelac, right.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Right. And it has, it's rich in all the minerals and aminos and all that kind of stuff. And that's a perfect uh, uh, microbial tea. The thing you guys want to remember is it doesn't have to be very complicated. You don't have to go out buying all kinds of microbial tea mixes and stuff like that. You'd be surprised if you have a garden, if you have a farm. Holy cow! Right? Almost everything can be made into a tea. Any animal that pees or poop, make a tea out of it. Anybody that dies, make a tea out of it. You
Yep,
literally
yep.
can make it lots of different ways to make a wonderful tea. I
Andy, have you
myself,
went downtown, and picked after the pigeons getting the pigeon poop too? You
no,
make tea out of that.
I never got to the pigeon poo. I was buying Steve, now, what was the name of those birds? Well, I know it's getting bad guano for a while there.
Yep,
And so I
yep,
figured out it's really bad, but they were like seabirds that this guy was selling the dry poop to for.
yeah. Seabird guano, not back guano. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy over guanos in general from birds.
Yeah,
But yeah,
right. And even now, I feel people get. I still get. I still am looking for different sources of animal manure to make a tea from it. But again, it's really made for the worms. I basically like putting that into the worms, and then
yeah,
the worm juice that comes out will have the biology in there too. And so,
yeah,
if you really, really want to make a good microbial tea, because the biology comes out of the worm farm, it's its own special microbial tea. It's a
yeah.
special microbial tea. You want to learn. So that's one the best ways I've ever found, and the easiest way to make a very special microbial tea that you can then modify later down the road. It depends on if you're doing trees or if you're doing the vegetable garden, you know. But you will find that if you was to take that to a lab, send it off. So, like for example, that alluvium guy that came here, the alluvium soil person.
Oh, I gotta laugh at this one. Does the cuckoo bird provide the best guano? That's just cuckoo, man. That's just cuckoo.
Yeah, the cuckoo bird does not provide cuckoo. It's a very special type of
Yeah.
poop.
Hey, isn't that us, Andy? Isn't that
Instead
us
of
with
poo-poo,
the
it's
little
cuckoo.
cuckoo?
Yeah, I have my own cuckoo that I use.
Yeah.
But so you want to just remember to provide the microbes with the trace minerals. That's the key. One of the things about milk. Oh, also want to say so rice. Rice has its own wonderful microbial mixtures you can make from using rice.
Yeah.
You basically get a cup of rice in a gallon of distilled water, stir it all up. You can add maybe a tablespoon of Granny Smith's molasses. Put a cheesecloth over the top, put it in the dark for about a week, come back and take it out. Take that liquid, and there's your tea.
And see, that's the beginning. The next step in Korean natural farming would be to take the liquid from the rice, not adding anything else, but just grabbing the biology. You take the liquid, mix that with milk, and that's how you make the lactic acid bacteria and farmer's cheese. That's what forms on top is farmer's cheese, which you could actually make and feed to your worm farm because your worms would go nuts because it's just all biology.
So
And that's what
normally,
biology.
normally I don't have milk because I don't drink it, so I don't have milk in the refrigerator like you use. Sometimes I would buy it specifically to make it for that.
And that's what I do that because we don't drink milk either. So I just buy it strictly to make labs or lactic acid bacteria.
That's what I mean, right? And you do want the whole fat one instead of the non-fat one.
Actually, I think non-fat it can be better. I've heard of people that are using like straight out of the cow full of fat, and it doesn't work as well. Ghetto Hippie saying buttermilk, but I don't think it. I think the less fat, the better. If I remember right from all my research when I was looking into the natural farming, I was using like 3.5% is what I was using. So a whole milk, but not the full like right out of the cow.
No, I don't know about out of the cow. I've never had it. I never had it out of the cow. That would be interesting.
Oh, you've never taken a teat and squeezed it and shot it into your mouth, Andy?
That would be
you're not a farm boy.
That would be interesting to make a tea out of that. I was just saying about what's in the store. You know, they even though they have a certain amount of fat, it's not as much as coming out. So it's
well,
a small
I did it with goats and cows. Cause I'm a actual farm boy. You know,
the thing about the fat, it's going to be the fat itself is the richest in the minerals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like
that's the thing about it, right?
Don't understand that mother's milk. Oh, geez, there's something in it. It's what you give to babies that are having issues. Oh, the term isn't coming to me, but it's milk replacement they give. It's really good for the human body. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it's not cannabinoids, ghetto. It's oh geez, we had a friend, he would take it. Colostrum. Thank you, Lily. Colostrum. That's extremely good for the baby animal because it's got a lot of extra nutrition in it. It's that seed, that first spray, that's from what you're getting from that mother's milk, that biological mass of nutrients and components to build the body. So yeah. Anyway, sorry, Andy, I interrupted with colostrum.
No, that's right. Colostrum is one of the things I take regularly because as you get older, your body can make it as well. I find that very helpful for my skin. I haven't started giving it to the plants yet.
Mm-hmm.
I like giving stuff out to the plants and see what happens. But
you're not giving it to the plants, Andy. Remember, you're giving it to the biology.
Yeah.
So if your plant has this amazing reaction, it's because the biology took that and created this amazing reaction.
And so for me, what I do for my biology is that I basically go out and try to re-inoculate people's properties. In your guys' case, you're going to be doing the same thing for your place. And it's important to also realize that you basically want to Also, spray it on if you're doing for plants, trees and stuff like that. Especially trees, spray it on the trunks. Make sure it goes through into the wood of the trunk because the tree will absorb it. And the leaf, upper and lower part of the leaf. Great for roses, and it's great for all your vegetables, fruits. So it depends on what you're spraying. You don't want to be spraying a manure tea on fruits and vegetables, right? So
No, oh, why not?
so
Well, don't you want to get sick?
no, so I learned from one of the things that I can spray. When it depends on how you make it. So if you live on a farm, I remember in my grandmother's farm, they would make a manure tea, and that's what they spray around the house for ant control.
Yeah, yeah.
The acid of something would get to the ants and a bunch of other plants as well, and they didn't like that. It works great on snails as well.
Yeah, well, it's good for, you can spray that kind of stuff on perennial plants, nothing that you're eating though. But yeah, it's a boost of biology and building blocks.
I would spray it on roses, but I said I would, but I don't anymore. It depends on the strength of the tea, right? Oh, good shit. Yeah, when I first had my van, I got a bumper sticker and I called it said good shit.
Yeah,
and the cop didn't like that. I said, well, that's what compost is. It's good shit, man. What's wrong with that? Well, it's no good. You can't say that. I go, okay. But maybe I should have done what you did. Just take out the I.
Yep.
And that would have worked just fine. So also too, you'll find that there are lots of other, so in your food, so for example, your vegetables that you eat, you can make a tea from those vegetables, leftover vegetables. You find be very interesting to spray because you make a liquid out of it, turn it into a tea and use it, right? You can do that too. Same thing when you have skins that you're throwing away and food that you're throwing away, you can actually turn it into a liquid. I was talking to a lady about how do I stop animals from getting to my compost? Well, you liquefy your food and you pour it into the compost. So if you go one step further, you can make a tea out of it and spray it. Which is in micro. Oh, cool. So you have your own microbiological lab. I can't hear you, man. Yeah, no, nothing.
Yeah, I had it on mute. Sorry. I was just saying, Adam, you should reach out, man. And if you don't mind coming on with a couple of crazy old farts, we'll bring you on, or I can have you on Conversations in Ken's Cafe. My email, or the email you need to use, is in the description of the YouTube video. So
sure, Adam. All you got to do is share a screen. So if your screen sees the biology, I would love that. I would love you to come over here and check out my stuff. But you're not going to fly over here and do it. Or I can't ship it to you because everything will be dead by the time it gets there. You see, it'll open it up. There's bodies everywhere. It's awful, right?
Yep, yeah, and it stinks. That's what a lot of the fish stuff. You crack it open and you want to run away the other direction.
Well, you can definitely tell it's alive because it smells. Your nose will tell you, and that's all you really need. I'd love to be able to look at all the different microbial life that are in the soil because there are so many different ones. The only reason why I stay away from it besides the equipment is because I don't concentrate on what type of biology other than getting I don't care what the individual soldier does. I care what the Army does.
Perfect. Exactly.
And the Army has say, I need Lieutenant George over there. I need Franklin over there. Right. And so, and how do I know which one is the ones that need it? By providing a wide blend of biology that can handle anything. That's the way Mother Nature does it.
Yeah. Well, and it's that diversity of the workforce of the Army. You need the captains, the lieutenants, but you need the privates and the grunts on the ground. You need the engineers to go out and build and this. But it's a combination. The Army doesn't move without the cooks and the food. It's got to be everybody working together. And the more you have, the better off it's going to be, whether that's in our bodies, Andy, as you know, or the plants or the animals. It's diversity, giving them the building blocks, which is, of course, your rock dust, your salt, etc. But it's all works together. And then But to top it all off, Andy, it's those dang aliens with all that crazy energy out there, because the energy works with it all as well. You got to bring that into the picture, Andy, right?
Of course, it's all about the energy. That's what it's all about anyway. Like we talked about the minerals, and so this lady, the doctor I told you about, says minerals are the glue that holds the body together. Well, it turns
Yeah.
out that the minerals where you get all the cosmic energy from in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's all just like when you do a bricks level, sugar. It's also where you get your minerals from. So Mother
Yeah.
Nature has a very cool way of making sure we get our minerals.
Well,
So
and
that's
like
what we need.
you're not using a microscope because you don't really need to. You've been doing this for so long. You know what works and doesn't works. It's like a mechanic that goes to fix your car. He knows how to tune that engine because he's been doing it for so long. He doesn't need to get out, a timing light or a vacuum gauge, because he can set that carburetor by ear. And that's who you are, Andy. You've been doing this so flipping long. You figured all these things out, and I appreciate you so much, Andy, for
It's just
allowing me to be
doing it.
your co-host.
You just do it, and you do it, and something works, you do it. It doesn't work, you don't do that anymore. You do this, oh, that works. And it's like you keep doing things over and over again. After a while, you go, okay. Like just yesterday, they said, we need a soil test. We need to find out what's going on with the soil. I said, lady, give me the $500. I'll tell you what's going on with the soil. I'll tell you a pH. I said,
you don't have any. You don't have any soil.
You don't got nothing. But it comes down from experience, because I learned from experience. I know my shit, man. I do.
Yeah.
Because I learned from experience. It's all about the minerals. And you ask me, how come you know about minerals? Well, because if I don't key into the minerals, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about what trace mineral deficiency it is, because it's usually never the same thing. It all depends on what's going on in their particular environment. Here in California, it's usually the same thing: calcium deficiency. The pH is all wrong. There's no soil. But then if you go to like here, so go down a little bit, this is a forest, and it's like try to dig down to where you get to the clay, because there's soil on top of this thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's always different, but the bottom line is, when you make a meal, you have a complete meal, a nice blend of food. You don't say, eat all your apples, and tomorrow I'm going to give you some bananas, and after that, next day I'm going to get some rice. No, you got this really cool blend. That's what you always want to eat. It's logical to eat a blend of food, and that's what we want to. The plants and Mother Nature doesn't say, okay, for a year you're just going to eat this, and then you're going to come back and eat that for another year. No, it's like eat up, and that's what's cool about the when you make the microbes, blend it in, really get a source of so many different. It doesn't hurt to blend them all together. It makes this amazing tea that'll work on anybody, rather than one particular tea for that particular problem. Because you'll find, so I make the best tea, microbial tea on the planet, guys. We should have a contest. Because my microbial tea,
I'll put Layton's microbial tea up against your microbial tea, and we'll see who wins. Because
right. But here's the thing. No offense, Layton, but I've been curing trees for years, so I have a little bit of an edge on the diseases and the pests, because they come to me and I go, "This is what we need." Layton could probably use his stuff. He doesn't even need to know. I like his stuff, and I'm not. And it'll probably work just fine. I say probably, because I know mine will. And the better your biology is, the better it'll work.
Oh, exactly. And like you're putting in all the necessary components, because you're putting in the rock dust, you're putting in the minerals, so you're putting in the building blocks, and you just keep adding more biology, and what comes out the other end is pure gold.
So one of the things I add to my worm farm is biochar.
Yeah.
A nice thick layer of biochar on a regular basis, and that increases the biology even more. And then when I'm adding, today I added some peaches. I added some avocados. And you know what's interesting too is I take the avocado, throw a seed and all, and the seed just comes right up. It's like right in that stuff. I go, okay, next, because it's a very highly active, minerally rich. I don't have to. I learned I don't want to take the sea salt and add it in there. It's too salty. I don't need to do that. I add the sea salt with my liquids.
Yeah.
When I
Well,
think
and that's the thing. That's the understanding of how to use what you're making, when to put the different components in. Like I have, the water soluble calcium. I have water soluble calcium phosphate. I have my labs. I have all these different components that, and I combine them all, but at the last, few minutes, and then, or the last day, and then bubble that out to add the biology. But
well,
yeah,
you
you
have to
don't
learn.
store them together.
You have to learn from experience. You won't believe how many times I mixed stuff up and it started gurgling, and it will overflow over the little container. The pipe got, and it will overflow like a foam. And be like, oh shit! It's just keep on overflowing and flowing. Okay, I guess. And so I don't even really do detail. Okay, I added to this, and so I go, well, and so, but you can tell because somehow the biology react. And this is like, there's no fertilizer. You're not talking about fertilizer for react. Things tend to react, can easily react, and somehow the seaweed that I got didn't like the other kind of seaweed or the kelp or whatever it was, and it was like, So you do it from experience. I used to take 14 different types of rock dust and blend them together into a dust, and then feed that to my liquid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's perfect. And we do have a question.
No,
do you add sand in your worms bin for the worm gizzards?
Okay, so I have in my one of the things I buy is soil, which is basically sand.
Okay.
It's a sandy mix, and also too, I find out that one of the things that I add for worms is that the cardboard, and also too the biochar is very effective because I also get the very.
Aren't you adding? You're adding coffee grounds as well.
And adding coffee grinds is also very fine. Yeah. That's one of the things they like about coffee grinds. It's really very good for their gizzards, right?
Yeah.
And then, let's see, what was I? So what I do is I have newspapers and cardboard, which is the cardboard they eat. That breaks up down to, they get a lot of carbon.
Yeah, and you need to have the carbon. We're all carbon-based life forms.
They get a lot of carbon, right? And so they also get like lettuces and stuff like that, which is good for them to break down. Also, too, and I find that the sand it's more like little pebbles, tiny, teeny, weeny little pebbles mixture. Plus, right here in the back of the house, it used to be a road, and they put construction sand down in there, and the sand now is looking very, very good. And I got a friend of mine brought me about 50 bags of sand that they had removed. It was totally clean sand. So I have a big source of sand, different sources of sand that'll work for the worms. But the worms for me is the key to my business, because I make the best biology that comes out through there. And then I get people to get the best compost that they can get their hands on or make, which should be, at least should follow some biodynamic principles. That would be, have the biology, have the right type of manure, because a lot of people make compost, no manure in it, none of the proper biology in it. They're going to have to. It's not going to work. They're going to say, why am I still having this problem? Why is there still this disease or this pest? And I don't have to give specifically what mineral is missing, even though I could. But I learned a long time ago, it's not wise to tell people, you're deficient in calcium and iron and magnesium. And they go, yeah, okay, right, fine. But what can I do about it, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're down to our last minute, Andy. I just flashed up your website and that. So guys, join Andy's newsletter, because he does put stuff out on there that will help you. And also on it's all about the biology.ca. If you go there and look under discount codes, we do have a bunch of different discount codes where you guys can get percentages off on some products that I would recommend and use, or have recommended and used. So just to let people know.
Next week we're doing it on compost tea, then, right? or did we get it through here this time? Did we also cover?
No. Next week we'll go specifically because we did a microbial tea. Let's do what you're getting out of your worm bin. So we'll go do the compost.
Okay, great.
And there's Terry lurking. Yeah. It's sitting in the lurker tree again, Terry. Come on, brother.
I saw you lurking. Heavy breathing.
Yep. So, Andy, are you out and about in the next week where people can come and see you?
I try not to be visible. I try not to let people see me. There's a contest called Find the Invisible Gardener, so they're looking for me. So I have to stay out of sight as much as I can. No, I don't do talks anymore. I haven't really gone out in public with too many things. I go to garden clubs, so I do that a lot. And if you're in a garden club, more like organic garden club here locally, vermicompost is like holy grail to all amendments. You got it, brother.
Yep.
You got it. You got it. That's exactly right. And especially if you can't help it. The worms are really very good. There's two different richest sources of animal manure: worms, the smallest, and the elephant, the largest.
Yep.
I would love for you to see to look under the scope and see the difference between the two biology. You're gonna be surprised, man.
Well, it's like going from 400 to 2,000. You're still looking at different biology, and the farther you go, different biology. But I think we're gonna end it there, my brother.
Yeah, it's over, man.
I'm going to let everybody know that I'm not doing a show on this Friday, taking an extra day off to try to deal with this dang pain that I got in my arm. But on Monday, we actually have a dog trainer coming on, or Leighton's dog trainer coming on. And I think you guys are going to be really amazed at some of the techniques that she uses to train animals. And so if you're a homesteader and you're raising animals, this is going to be something that is going to really help you out a great deal. So check out the Soil Matters on Monday. Andy, love you, brother. And say peace out, everybody.
Peace out. Bye.